Hey guys, let us begin with the static portion series, and in that we'll begin the new subject polity. So in that the first topic is salient features of the constitution. So what are the salient features? First feature of our constitution is that it is the lengthiest written constitution. So we have around 465 articles divided into 25 parts and 12 schedules, right? After like amendments and all. So the constitution is so big. Why? Because of certain reason. There are geographical factors. Like India is a vast country and also there is diversity, huge diversity is there. So to cover all the aspect of our country, the document has become huge. And the next factor is historical. That is because of most of the things were derived from the Government of India Act 1935, which itself was bulky. So again, because of that historical influence, the document has become bulk. And the next reason is single constitution. For example, in US, they have different constitution for union and state, whereas in case of India, we have only one constitution for union and state. And the last factor is dominance of legal luminaries. Most of the person who constituted our constitution were from legal background. So their domination also made the document little bit big and lengthy. Now what is the next feature? Drawn from various sources. So to derive the best thing from every constitution, we use various sources. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar proudly acclaimed that the Constitution of India has been framed after ransacking all the known constitution of the world. Structural part of the Constitution derived from the Government of India Act 1935. So Ambedkar, he proudly said that we took all the best things, best practices from all the countries all over the world and made our Indian constitution. So the structural part, it's derived from the Government of India Act 1935, whereas the philosophical part of the constitution, like we have fundamental duties, UPSC, all these things are inspired from the fundamental rights, basically from American constitution, and DPSP is from Irish constitution respectively. Now the political part, like we have parliamentary system. So such political part are derived from the British constitution. And the next feature is about the blend of rigidity and flexibility. So article 368, it provides for two types of amendment. So our constitution is a blend of both rigid and flexibility. We cannot amend so easily. At the same time, if there is need due to evolving human society, we can amend it also. So we have a blend of both. As per article 368, we can amend them. First one, special majority of parliament, 2/3 of the parliament members present at voting supported with more than 50% of the strength, which is called special majority. So we just need the special majority of parliament for certain amendment. Whereas in case of federal issues, we need special majority of the parliament. Along with it, we also need ratification by half of the total states with simple majority. States also have to ratify it, like half of the state with simple majority itself is enough. Whereas in case of US, it is 3/4 of the states they have to agree. Some provision can be amended by simple majority. They are considered amendment under Article 368. Now, the next feature is federal system with unitary bias. Features of federation with dual government, division of power, written constitution, supremacy of constitution, rigidity of constitution, independent judiciary, bicameralism, all these things. So these are the features of federation. We have dual government, division of power, written constitution, supremacy of constitution, rigidity, independent judiciary, and bicameralism are federal features. And what are the features of unitary government? Like we have a strong center like Canada, and single constitution, single citizenship, integrated Judiciary, appointment of governor by the center, all India services, emergency provision. So all these are unitary features. So we have blend of both unitary and also federal. That's why it is called quasi-federal or type of government. Next feature is parliamentary form of government. What is the fundamental principle? Cooperation and coordination between the legislature and executive. That is the main fundamental principle. The coordination is must to have a stable government. What are the features of parliamentary form of government? Presence of nominal and real executive in the parliament, and we also have majority party rule and collective responsibility of the executive to the legislature. Collective responsibility is there, and also double membership, leadership of prime minister or the chief minister, dissolution of lower house, that is Lok Sabha or assembly, that is the lower house. All these are the features of parliamentary system we have adapted. And the next feature is about the synthesis of parliamentary sovereignty and the judicial supremacy. We have priority or equal importance to both of them, parliament and judiciary. Indian parliamentary system is a proper synthesis between the British principle of parliamentary sovereignty and the American principle of judicial supremacy. The Supreme Court can declare the parliamentary law as unconstitutional through its power of judicial review. The Parliament can amend the major portion of Constitution through its constituent power. So, if a law is considered unconstitutional, Supreme Court declares so, and if Parliament can even amend the major portion of Constitution until and unless it infringes the basic structure of our Constitution. And the next feature is that we have integrated but independent judiciary. Supreme Court is a guarantor of the fundamental rights of the citizen, and it is also the guardian of the Constitution. Supreme Court, there was a question asked, who is the guardian of Constitution? It is the Supreme Court, and it is also the guarantor of fundamental rights. So we have integrated judiciary because we have this hierarchy, like Supreme Court, below that we have High Court, lower courts like district courts, etc., which enforce both union and state law. Why it is called independent? Because security of tenure of judges of Supreme Court and High Court. All expenses of High Court and Supreme Court are charged on the consolidated fund. And the next feature is fundamental rights. We have fundamental rights under the article 12 to 35 in part 3. Right to equality, article 14 to 18, right to freedom, article 19 to 22, and right against exploitation, article 23 to 24. And right to freedom of religion, article 25 to 28, cultural and educational right, article 29 to 30, right to constitutional remedy, article 32. So these are some of the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights, it aims to promote political democracy. So in case of UPSC, it promotes economic and social democracy, whereas fundamental rights guarantee our political democracy. They are enforceable by law, by courts through writ, which is a very important step. Next feature is we have DPSP. DPSP are contained in part 4 of and it contains article 36 to 51. So these principles are meant for promoting the ideal of social and economic democracy. Yes, as we already discussed, political democracy, fundamental rights, social and economic democracy, DPSP. It aims to establish the welfare state, and they are non-justiciable in nature, and it's classified into 3 categories. What are they? Socialist, Gandhian, liberal intellectual. These are the 3 categories of DPSP. We'll look into it in detail later. And the next feature is we have fundamental duty. It is contained in part 4A, and article 51A talks about the fundamental duty. There are 11 such fundamental duty available in our constitution. So fundamental duty serves as a reminder to the citizen that while we enjoy the rights, we have to be conscious of the duties towards the country. society and fellow citizens. So 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976, on the recommendation of Swearing Committee, these fundamental duties have been added to our constitution as per Swearing Committee by 42nd Amendment. And at that time 10 fundamental duties were added. The 11th one was added during the 86th Amendment in the year 2002. It added one more fundamental duty. But the thing is, they are non-justiciable. We cannot go to court seeking that someone is not performing the duty. And the next feature is about we have a secular state. Western concept of secularism connotes a complete separation between religion and state. In West, state cannot interfere in any religious matter, but in case of India, it connotes giving respect to all religion and protecting all religion equally. So here, Indian government tries to uplift and protect every religion. That is, they can interfere to an extent and give equal treatment to all the religions. And the word secular was added to the preamble of the Indian Constitution by the 42nd Amendment 1976. It is reflected in preamble. We can see the reflection of the word secular in preamble, and also we get to know about the secularism in these following article. What are the article 14, 15, 16, 25 to 30 and 44. And the next feature is that universal adult franchise. So our constitution has given universal adult franchise to all the people. Voting age was reduced from 21 to 18 in the year 1989. So in the year 1989, all the people who are above 18 can vote. So this was made, the age was reduced under the 61st Amendment Act 1988. In 88 the act was passed, and from 89 the law was implemented. And the next feature is we have single citizenship. Indian Constitution provides for only one or single citizenship, which is called Indian citizenship. And the next one is independent bodies. These bodies are envisaged by the Constitution as a bulwark of democracy. So we have many independent bodies like Election Commission, UPSC, etc. So they are the bulwark of democracy. Like Election Commission, UPSC, CAG, all these are independent bodies. And the next feature is about emergency provision. During the emergency, the federal structure of the country got converted into unitary one. So during emergency, our federal structure, it just got converted into unitary one. And we can issue national emergency as per Article 352 and state emergency, that is President rule. What are the grounds for applying President rule? Failure of constitutional machinery as per Article 356, and if we reverse it we get 365. So 365 is failure to comply with the direction of center. So in these two cases, center can declare President rule. First one, constitutional failure, machinery failure, and then if state is not following the center's direction, in both the case they can issue President rule. Now the next kind of emergency is financial emergency as per Article 360. It converts federal structure into unitary one. Now the next feature is three-tier government. Democratic decentralization by establishing PRI, Panchayati Raj Institution, 73rd Amendment 1992, and ULB, Urban Local Body, 74th Amendment 1992, which form third-tier government. So these are the amendments which helped in establishing the local bodies. And the next feature is we have cooperative society. 97th Amendment Act 2011 gave constitutional status to cooperative society and fundamental rights to form the cooperative society, Article 19.1c. So it is mentioned in Article 19.1c fundamental right part, and it is also mentioned in DPSP under the Article 43B, which is promotion of cooperative society. And there was also a separate charter added for it called Part 9B. And Parliament has power to regulate multi-state cooperative society. So these are some of the important salient features of our Indian Constitution. Now let us look at the schedules in our Constitution. So the first schedule, it talks about the name of the state, union, territory and their territorial jurisdiction. It talks about the names. And the second schedule, it talks about the salary. Sorry. So the second schedule, it talks about the salary emoluments, privileges of certain dignitaries. Who are they? President, governor, speaker, deputy speaker, then chairman, deputy chairman. So these are for both speaker of both the Lok Sabha and Assembly, chairman of Rajya Sabha and the State Council, and also the judges of Supreme Court and High Court, CAG. So all these people and their salaries, emoluments are discussed in second schedule. We also have to mention who are not mentioned in second schedule. So MP, MLAs, then ministers, election commission, UPSC, all these things are not mentioned. Whereas in case of third schedule, it talks about the oath and affirmation of ministers, MLA, MP, judges of Supreme Court and High Court. So judges comes on both these schedule. 2 and 3 talks about judges. Here CAG, Supreme Court and High Court judges are included. So yeah, judges and also CAG comes in both the schedule. Now who are not included in third schedule? So it does not talk about president, vice president, speaker, then deputy speaker, chairman, election commission, UPSC, SPSC, all these things are not covered in third schedule. So we have to remember that. And the next schedule is allocation of seats in Rajya Sabha to states and union territory. Fifth schedule talks about the administration of scheduled area and scheduled tribe. Sixth schedule talks about the administration of tribal areas in ATMM, that is Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya and Mizoram. ATMM. Now the seventh schedule, it talks about the division of power between center and state. Union list contain 100 divisions and state list has 61 subjects. Concurrent list has 52 subjects. Now the 8th schedule, it talks about the official language recognized by the Constitution. Originally there were 14, now 22 are there. So in the 8th schedule, 92nd amendment, it talks about BDMS, that is Bodo, Dongri, Maithili and Santali. 71st amendment, it talks about KMN, Konkani, Manipuri and Nepali. 96th amendment, it talks about Odia. So all these things were included in the official language in the following amendments. 96th amendment, lately it included Odia. And the 9th schedule, this was the first amendment we made in our constitution in the year 1951. So it has been amended to include land reforms and other matters to be placed by the center and state. And the 10th schedule, so earlier only 8 schedules were there, 9th schedule was added by amendment for the first time in 1951. Then 10th schedule we added it in 1985 under 52nd amendment. So it talks about anti-defection law. 11th schedule, 73rd amendment, 12th schedule, 74th amendment, both are in 1992. This talks about panchayat and this talk about municipality. 29 murders, 18 subject, article 243G, article 243W. So all these are about the important schedules and what are the latest amendments added in the constitution. Now let us look into the sources of constitution. So where the different features were taken. So what are the features derived from the Government of India Act 1935? The features taken are emergency provision, administrative detail, federal scheme, office of governor, Judiciary Public Service Commission. So all these are the features of Government of India Act 1935. We took these provisions: Emergency Administrative Detail, Federal Scheme, Governor Office, Public Service Commission and Judiciary. Now, from the British Constitution, we adapted parliamentary government, rule of law, writs, parliamentary privileges, single citizenship, bicameralism, and then legislative procedures. And the next country is USA. From USA, we adopted fundamental right, impeachment of president, removal of Supreme Court and High Court judges, judicial super independence and judicial review, post of vice president. So all these were derived from US. Now from Ireland, we took DPSP, nomination of Rajya Sabha members and the method of presidential election. Now from Canada, we took federation with strong center, residuary with center, appointment of governor, advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court, all these things. Now the next one is Australia. From that we took concurrent list, freedom of trade and commerce, joint sitting of parliament. Now the next one is Weimar Constitution of Germany, suspension of fundamental right during emergency. Now the next country is USSR, fundamental duty, ideals of justice in preamble. And the next country is France, republic, liberty, equality and fraternity. So these were the things mentioned in preamble, which are taken from France. And the next country is South Africa, from which we took amendment of the constitution and also the election of members of Rajya Sabha. And from Japan, we took procedure established by the law. So these were some of the important sources from which our constitution was inspired or derived. Now let's look into the next topic, which is preamble. We'll look about the preamble of the constitution. Preamble is considered as the preamble is considered as the identity card of the constitution, which is N.K. Palkibala. He said preamble is the ID card. And preamble was based on the objective resolution drafted and moved by, so this was based on Nehru's objective resolution and it's adopted by the Constituent Assembly. And we also have to remember this, preamble is not a source of power to legislate or not a prohibition upon the power of legislation. So it is not a source, neither a source nor a prohibition, and it is non-justiciable. DPSP and preamble, non-justiciable, whereas in case of fundamental rights, it is justiciable. The preamble has been amended only once so far in 1976 by the 42nd Amendment. So 42nd Amendment is also called as mini constitution because many important amendments took place in that time during Indira Gandhi's period. So this 42nd Amendment added 3 new words in the preamble. What are they? So, see in, which is socialist, secular and integrity to the preamble. Now what are the keywords? And we'll discuss each of them one by one. First word it mentioned was sovereign. India is neither a dependency nor a dominion of any other nation, but an independent state. We are independent. We have our own sovereignty. State is free to conduct its own affairs, meaning internal and external affairs. They can take care of the internal conflict or border issue kind of thing. If there is some external issue with other country, that can also be, everything can be handled by the state itself. India can acquire ceded territory also. Ceded is the territory which we just took from our country and have given to other nation. We can acquire it. Now the next keyword is socialist. Indian brand of socialism is a democratic socialism. That is, we have mixed economy and not communistic socialism, also known as state socialism. In communistic socialism, we have only state, no private participation is involved. But in case of India, we have both. Public sectors are also there and private is also there, which is a mix of both, called democratic socialism. And in the 1991 reform, that diluted the socialist character of our state, and we have liberated by opening our economy. Now the next important term is secular. So this word also been amended and included in the 42nd Amendment 1976. We have positive concept of liberalism, that is all religion in our country have the same status and equal support from the state. It is not that state will not at all interfere, state will interfere and state will have equal support. Now the next topic, next keyword is democratic. The term democratic is used in the preamble, embraces not only political democracy but also social and economic democracy. So political democracy we ensure through universal adult franchise and by giving every people equal vote with equal value. Whereas in case of social and economic democracy, it is mentioned in UPSC and our preamble also. It talks about the social and economic democracy, fundamental duty. So it is based on the doctrine of popular sovereignty. India's democratic setup is based on indirect democracy. All people cannot go and vote in each and every problem, right? So we have participative or representative democracy, not participative. We send our representative to the parliament to take decision for us, right? And Indian democratic setup is based on the indirect democracy. And the next term is republic. Republic in our preamble, it indicates that head of the state is always elected in India. Head of the state is elected in India, called president. It implies political sovereignty lies with the people and not single person. So it talks about the political sovereignty and it is with the people and not a single person has it, but it is with the all people. Public offices are open to all. Absence of privileged class. Anyone can go and visit the public office. And the next term is justice. The term justice in the preamble embraces three distinct forms. What are they? Social, economic and political. Secured through fundamental right and UPSC, which is the justice. Political through fundamental right, social and economic through DPSP. So the mixture of both social justice and economic justice is called distributive justice. Social justice means giving equal treatment to all, and economic justice means no discrimination on the basis of economic factors. If we give equal voting right, which is called political right, like equal political rights to all, political justice. Social, economic, and if we treat everyone equally, no discrimination on the basis of caste or creed, which is social justice. Economic is giving everyone equal opportunity to earn a livelihood. Political is like giving everyone equal right to participate in, like right to cast their vote and also even take part in election, which is called political justice. Now the next one is liberty. It implies absence of restraint on the activity of individual. No restraint on someone's activity, which is called liberty. It is providing opportunity for development of individual personality and it is ensured through fundamental right. Liberty is a kind of giving freedom. And there is also restrictions on it, which is called reasonable restriction. We cannot say that I have liberty to take someone else's life, right? So there is reasonable restriction. And the next term is equality. Equality means the absence of special privilege to any section of the society. Everyone is treated equal. And the provision of adequate opportunity for all individuals without discrimination, and everyone will be given equal opportunity to uplift their life. So there are three dimensions of equality: civic, political and economic. So the civic rights are covered in fundamental right 14 to 18. Political is covered in Article 320, Universal Adult Franchise, and Article 325. And economic equality is mentioned in Article 39, which is DPSP. Now the next term is fraternity. So this is a kind of brotherhood, right? It implies a sense of brotherhood. Constitution promotes this feeling by fraternity by single citizenship. We have single citizenship as Indians. We do not have separate state citizenship like for each state, Maharashtrian or Tamilian or Kerala. Likewise, we do not have a state citizenship. Article 51A, it talks about the fundamental duties. So this also promotes brotherhood. And the fraternity, it ensures two things. What are that? Dignity of the individual, unity and integrity of the nation, territorial integrity and also psychological integrity. So these are the various keywords mentioned in our preamble and their importance. Now what is the significance of this preamble? So this is the basic philosophy and fundamental value of the constitution are stated. We get to know our forefathers' vision, right? Essential to unravel minds of constitutional forefathers. Yes, that is what. And the soul of constitution lays down pattern of our political society. So from that we get to know that ours is a democracy, it can never go back to monarchy. Ours is a secular state, we cannot support a particular religion anytime. So these are some of the soul of the constitution which cannot be changed at any circumstances. Now what are the components of preamble? First we have the source where the preamble is derived from. So the constitution derives its authority from the people. That is what we get in the preamble, we the people of India. And the next component is that we get to know the nature of Indian state. Ours is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republican polity. And we also get to know the objectives. What are the objectives? Justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, unity and integrity. And it is also mentioned that the date of adoption is also mentioned, November 26, 1949. Now the last part of this discussion is about is preamble of part of constitution or not. So there was a big confusion going on and many Supreme Court judges were pronounced. Let us look at them. First, in Berubari case 1960. So in that particular case, Supreme Court held that preamble is not a part of our constitution. And in the Keshwananda Bharati case 1973, Supreme Court again held that preamble is a part of our constitution. And in the LIC India case 1995, preamble, Supreme Court again held that preamble is an integral part of our constitution. So the final judgment is LIC India case, preamble is an integral part of our constitution. And what about the amendability of preamble? Preamble can be amended without affecting the basic structure of the constitution. So we can amend them, but we should not disturb the basic structure. So that's all in this part. Thank you.